Good afternoon and welcome to this online version of the Social Media MN329 lecture. This week we're going to finish our section on social shopping and we're going to discuss social media research. So basically, just to say what we're going to discuss today, I'm going to talk a little bit about assignments and then talk about the importance of the MAPS students making contact with me. What I'm also going to look at is I'm going to talk very briefly about what we covered last week, and then we're going to finish the section on social commerce. We're going to talk about the sharing economy, which is an aspect of social media where the true potential of social media to unlock some of the value in society is being realized. And we're going to talk about psychological factors around shopping, so some of the biases people that have, and we're going to talk about the pitfalls around social commerce. And then we're going to move on to the next section about social media research. We're going to talk about types of data, methods, and biases. So just a quick reminder that last week there was a power cut on campus, and we had quite a low attendance at lectures, but power was restored at 11:40 a.m. The lecture went ahead and it is examinable, so make sure you go through that material. If you have any questions about it, use the Moodle or the MN Minutes Business IT Twitter handle to ask questions. Okay, so as I keep reminding everyone, the MCQ will take place on the 8th of December. I will put up some instructions on Blackboard. There will be 30 questions across 3 different tests, so everyone will have the same questions. However, the order of the questions and answers will be mixed up on them. So anybody who is entitled to extra time or special venue requirements or whatever needs to get in contact with me in advance. So a number of people have contacted me and we're working to arrange a special alternate venue where that can be managed. So if you're not available on the 8th of December and there's some sort of an issue, you need to complete a personal circumstances form or a doctor's note. With a doctor's note, you must have a personal circumstances form. Without that, you'll be marked out as 0 for this part of the assignment. Okay, so there's a couple of questions that have come in during the week. So somebody wanted to know whether they should use the SOSTAC framework. Well, given that that's kind of central to this part, to this module, it makes sense that it is. There are alternatives out there that you can use, where SOSTAC forms a reasonable framework to structure your group assignment around. One thing I'd say is people asked about control. Don't be afraid to look forward in the book. Chapter 9 is about social media research and Chapter 10 is about metrics. So use the book as a resource. It's continuous assessment. There is an expectation that you will go out and do some of your own reading, so don't wait till the material is covered before you can incorporate it into the assignment. So another question people were saying was that for all sorts of reasons that they're struggling to get views on their blog, and they're concerned that they're making lots of effort but not getting views. If they're putting in lots of effort, don't be concerned. It is perfectly acceptable to articulate the strategy to use to promote your blog and reflect on why it's not successful. There can be all sorts of reasons for that. You might be talking about a topic that isn't particularly of wide interest, but it's of great interest to yourself, or you may just be kind of new to the whole social media thing. So if you've worked hard at attempting to get traffic onto your blog but haven't been particularly successful, and you can show firstly that you have made the effort to get traffic, and secondly that you've reflected on the reasons why it hasn't happened, you won't really be penalized on that. Okay, so question about people were talking about which organization to examine, whether it should be hypothetical or a real organization. A real organization provides much richer detail. So if you're actually looking at real data and talking to real people, it's a far richer learning experience than a hypothetical one. However, ensure that you don't actually make any promises to people that you can't keep, or publish anything that would embarrass the firm you're looking at. So what people did do last year as well was they would have actually taken other organizations where case studies had been conducted on them and used those as a comparator. So they found a a case study that had been published looking at social media in an organization and saw how it would apply to theirs. And that's perfectly good use of secondary data as well. Okay, so the important thing to remember is today's lecture will be broken into about 6 or 8 15-minute slots. Everything in it will be examinable in the MCQ. It is a lecture, it's been cancelled, the physical lecture has been cancelled because they need the venue for open day, and the class agreed that coming in for an hour wasn't worthwhile. It was much more sensible to put the entire lecture up online. So if you have any questions during it, tweet to @MaynoothBusinessIT, @MaynoothBizIT, or post your questions onto the Moodle board. Please start engaging with some form of social media and interaction in this module. The whole point of the module is social media, so let's use social media tools in order to conduct our business where appropriate. Obviously, that doesn't apply for personal circumstances or issues around that. Okay, so last week we had a great lecture. Unfortunately, there wasn't a big turnout, but there was some good interaction and we got a lot of discussion going around things. We talked about the characteristics of gamers. We talked about how people make a lot of prejudiced, superficial judgments about the sort of people that are gaming, and that the actual data doesn't hold that up. We talked about how marketers use games and why they're effective. So this whole idea of people being in a good mood while gaming. But then we also touched on, and this came up in the discussion about the different business models that organizations have around the things. So I think it's the latest Star Wars game where you actually have to pay to unlock levels of the game. Have some of the gamers rather cross and are unlikely to be clicking on links or feeling positive about brand associations they experience in the game because they're frustrated. So it's important to remember that different organizations have different business models and different ways of capturing value from the customer. We talked about alternative reality games, this idea, these kind of transmedia games that span across different media. So you could have television, radio, internet, social media being played in a physical space. So something like Pokemon Go or different ones, or the I Love Bees games. Then we moved on to the topic of e-commerce and social commerce. So what we're talking about was, when we brought together e-commerce and social media, we ended up with social commerce. We talked about people's motives for shopping. We talked about the hedonic motives, so hedonism, about pleasure. So some people actually enjoy shopping. And then we talked about the utilitarian motives, whereas other people, are much more interested in what they want. They shop because they have to shop. But the important thing to remember is people can, it's not just different people have different motives. The same people have different motives. If I'm buying, a new laptop or a gadget, I'm getting a lot of pleasure out of it. Whereas when I'm buying my shopping powder, it's completely utilitarian. And I would describe that as somebody who doesn't particularly enjoy shopping myself. But what we also see is that, there is a social aspect to shopping. And social media has the capacity to replicate some of the more pleasurable aspects and practical aspects of shopping to make it a more enjoyable or useful or effective experience for the customer. Then, we talked about ratings and reviews, and we talked about how organizations can leverage good ratings and how they can secure them, the importance of authenticity, but also, we discussed a little bit in detail how to deal with organizations or how to deal with customers who vexatiously threaten to give bad reviews to try and blackmail something out of you. Something that really came up was the importance of organizations and businesses need to have a policy so their staff know what to do when that happens. That you can't give in to blackmail every time. So it's important that organizations have a policy around this so staff know what's appropriate to do in the situations. Okay, so we also had a rather amusing incident last week when I completely confused two movies and was explaining kind of augmented reality and alternative reality in movies, and started talking about the wrong movie for a solid 5 minutes. But undeterred by that, here's just a little clip from a very famous movie from the 1980s, Pretty Woman, that describes the kind of the experience of shopping and the importance that there's a social aspect and the need to be valued while shopping.
Just checking things out. Are you looking for something particular? No, well, yeah, something conservative. Yes. You got nice stuff. Thank you. How much is this? I don't think this would fit you. Well, I didn't ask for the fit. I asked how much it was. How much is this, Marie? It's very expensive. It's very expensive. Look, I got money to spend in here. I don't think we have anything for you. You're obviously in the wrong place. Please leave. On commission, right? Yes. Big mistake. Big. Huge. I have to go shopping now.
Okay, so there we see kind of the problem that somebody encounters when they go shopping and they don't have somebody to actually help them, you know, with it. If the staff aren't friendly or helpful, or the staff aren't prepared to engage with them. So what we see is the need for, you know, a social aspect to shopping. And, you know, we have these shopping buddies or shopping partners, that some people we go shopping with that help us, and they remove the risk from shopping by reinforcing the fact that we're making the right decision or warning us for doing something stupid. And that's really, really, really important when we're shopping for hedonic reasons. When we're shopping for pleasure, you know, it's a really subjective thing. But alternatively, you know, we're looking for a different kind of service when we're shopping for utilitarian reasons. So this is an example from my Tesco online shopping feed the other day. So if I look at it, I see I can get 23 washes for €10, 10, but I can get 45 washes for €9.67. So now, washing powder is a commodity. The more of I can get, the cheaper I can get that I can actually store, the better. So this price comparator is really, really useful for me. And it's really helpful because it helps me to make an objective decision. So tools like this, you know, embedded into social shopping and social commerce are really useful, and they can help me, they can confirm to me that I'm making the right decision, and they can take the place of, you know, someone, a shopping buddy who's advising me. Okay, so what we're actually going to talk about today is we're going to finish talking about social commerce. So we're going to talk about the sharing economy, the psychological factors, and we're also going to talk about the pitfalls associated with social media shopping. So if you click on the next link, you'll get those slides.